yes, you consented to going all the way through to having sex, but during the sexual activity, ulikuwa umesema, please do not, come in me, then he does it. Na ulikuwa ushamwambia, that is still assault.
Yeah, that is still assault.
Because I did not consent to that.
Yeah. And also these stories of maybe you've consented to protected sex. You've clearly told someone that we need to use a condom. Then maybe they lie to you that they've put it on, kitu kama hiyo. That is still assaulting someone. True. And also that excuse of sijui I dressed a certain type of way, that never really makes sense. Because what about all those other men who didn't assault me? It's not about what I'm wearing. It's about you. You're the person. You're a rapist. Because so many other men saw the same girl in the same outfit, but they didn't assault her.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Let's Bond. I'm your host Lali Mrisha. To all our subscribers, thank you very much for your support by liking, subscribing and sharing our videos. To our new viewers, welcome and feel at home on this platform where we discuss our everyday life experiences in our love lives and also in our friendships. And on today's topic, it's what consent looks like. And before we get into the topic, I'd like to introduce our lovely guest. She has been here several times, lakini wacha introduce mwenyewe.
Yeah, so hi guys, my name is Brina. Nimerudi tena, I'm guessing mshanizoea by now. So let's get right into the topic.
Yes, and as you've heard, we are talking about consent. Na wewe consent kwako inamaanisha nini?
So consent legally iko na varying definitions, but the concept is just the same, which is it's an ongoing process where you discuss your boundaries and what you're comfortable with in the sexual space.
Okay.
Yes. That's what it is basically.
Yes. Yeah. No, umeenda tu hapo like let's get into the sexual stuff.
Yes, because
yes, by the most of the time tukiongelea consent, it's because of that. Yeah. The intimacy part of it. It's like the permission you give to the person you're better half, or the person you want to engage in coitus with. Yes, and what do you understand by the topic?
So what I understand by the topic, what consent looks like, is just basically what consent means, like the people who can give consent, when and why we give consent, and why consent is important in especially the sexual space, because it can be blurry, the lines of consent. There's a very thin line between consensual sex and sexual assault.
Very true. Yeah. First of all, in this day and age, sijui mbona watu wataki kuchukua a no is a no.
True.
Yes, and maybe is also a no.
Yeah, especially in some circumstances, like even if someone says no, no matter the circumstance, it's still a no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so in what instances unaweza ika like consent hapa ilipatianwa, haikupatianwa?
So of course, number one, there are groups of people who can never give consent, regardless of the situation, the circumstance. Yes. People who are underage, children who are, because they are children, let's call them what they are, under the age of 18, that's a child. Someone who is unconscious or sleeping, that person cannot give consent. Someone who is intoxicated, or even someone who is harassed into, the activity. That one is not consensual. So what I mean by someone who has been harassed, this is in a situation maybe where someone has agreed to an activity under pressure. Maybe they've been pressured by someone. They've been told, if you don't agree to this, I'll do this and this to you. Also in situations where there are unequal power dynamics, for example, a boss sleeping with an employee, or a teacher with a student. So that one also, the consent is ish in situations like that.
Yes, very true. Like in the workplace, unaweza pata like the boss is like, give it to me, let's get it on for the promotion to take place, or maybe you had messed up somewhere, so like tuseme example ya HR amwe kukufanyia the something kwa zile za ni letter ikuja ya wewe kwenda home ama we get into the sheets.
Yes, so something like that, even though the person has agreed, they've been sort of coerced into agreeing. It's either a situation where you have sex with someone or you suffer very big consequences. So a situation like that is also not consensual.
Yes, very true. And it's really sad that that is quite normal and people don't find it as sexual assault. Wanaona tu ni I just did this to get this, I just did this to get out of this situation. But sadly, you've been assaulted.
Yeah, it's sexually transmitted promotions in the workplace. There are so many. Also in colleges where lecturers take advantage of students. So maybe you've given someone has a missing mark. They come to you asking you. So, and then now you coerce them into having sex with you so that they can get the marks. You see, that person has agreed to it, but really it's because they've been pressured into it.
Yes, and you know, when you're in that situation, vile tunasema like, wawezi dhani ni assault. Like, but ukifikiria later, cause ile za, I just did this because huyu ndo alisema.
Right.
So, after you saying that, ningependa saa tuongelee, wala bin wala, ningependa. Tuongelee sasa what consent actually looks like.
So what consent actually looks like. So consent is an ongoing process, just like we said. It happens right from the beginning up to the end of when you start sexual activity with someone. So now for consent, when you've given someone consent to do one activity, that does not mean that you've consented to other activities. For example, if you've consented to kissing someone, that doesn't mean that you've consented to them touching your boobs. That's a different activity. So you have a right to tell them to stop if you don't want them to do it. And also when you consent to having sex with someone one time, does not mean that you've consented to having sex with them in the future. For example, say you met someone, some things happen, you had sex with them. Then after 2 weeks, you meet the person maybe somewhere else, and now they think it's just automatic that because we had sex last weekend, so this time it's also going to be like that. So basically, consent is just about communication, communicating your boundaries before engaging in any sexual behavior. You need to communicate so that it can be verbal. You know, when it's verbal, it's an enthusiastic form of consent. Someone has given you that consent themselves by telling you that this is what they want.
Hata on that point, sasa kutakuwa na ule mwenye anaweza uliza. So after, teme, we are going out, I'm the man, you are the girl, hivyo. Sema umekuja sleepover, atasema saa nitauliza swali after every step, like I kiss you, then I'm like, can I touch you here? After touching you there, can I remove the shirt? Kuna mwenye saa atafikiria like, so we have to do it at every stage. Like, me on my part, nafikiria kuna vile pia, other than verbal communication, kuna the non-verbal cues. Of course, pia utaona, like, you don't have to keep on asking ati, pia ita kill the mood, ati, I've kissed you, can I touch your boobs? Hivyo tu. Sa kuna vile utaona, like, you've kissed the girl, maybe you've slid the hand somewhere, or like, on the boobs, hivyo. One bado ametulia, like, she's just enjoying it, she's not pulling back, haja change ka facial expression, kwa zile za, by the pia that is still consent. But ukiona like pull back, ama kabody kame tense up kwa zile za it's time to stop. Ulize like, do you feel it right nikikushika hapa? Can we continue?
Hizo tu like small check-ins, like is this okay? Like when you're kissing, maybe you touch their thigh, you ask, is this okay? Hivyo tu, it doesn't have to be, is it okay if I touch your thigh? No, it doesn't have to be at that extreme. Also, I think you can also tell when someone, maybe vile umesema, when you touch someone and then they pull away, you can definitely tell that the person is not comfortable. So you can ask them, Ivo, is this okay? Are you comfortable, Ivo? So that they can be able to also communicate. Because sometimes, people also, kuna hizi horror stories you've gone out with someone, then you are maybe progressing into the now sex, then you tell someone to stop, then they don't stop because sasa they were like, you agreed to be here, this is what I was expecting from you. So true. I feel like you need to understand that someone can decide to pull away, someone can change their mind at any time. Yeah, that's what people need to understand about consent.
Kwanza, most of the time ina happen like you're out on a party, house party, maybe in a club. Hiyo ndio ina happen most of the time to the youths. Unapata like they went out, wakapanda cab pamoja, they're going back home. Zikishuka ndoko zile za ilikuwa tu hype ya pombe. Sai sitaki, then the dude is like, no, we are doing this, we have to do this. Ama hapo ndo unapata like the girl hata kama hata stop, like juu maybe ilikuwa tu a one night stand na ujuu mse, you just give in juu ya something worse might happen kulingana na the guy vile anakaa. Because zile za let me do this in case isije ikageuka a rape case hivyo.
Exactly. But it's still a rape case either way because we've already told you guys, a situation where someone is intoxicated or under the influence of drugs, they can't give you consent. So in a situation where it's a party, people are drinking, and then a girl agrees or a man agrees to have sex with you, then when they reach there now, they come to their senses and they're like, no, you need to stop. Yeah, anytime someone tells you no, you just have to stop. It can be hard, but we need to like start, because now when someone has already told you no and you go ahead, that is sexual assault. You've actually assaulted someone, whether you like it or not, whether you think you've done it or not. Bottom line is that you have assaulted that person because they did not consent to the action.
Yes, very true. And ata still on the same part the rape case, like vile tumesema, like ata doing it just for the sake of doing it to be safe, ukifikiria the vile kunaweza enda hewa, that is still sexual assault. Most of the time people take it like the literal penetration. Sasa wacha nikareport, I've been assaulted, but hawajui like you're like the groping, you've been assaulted hivyo. Hata pia you are doing the action, like yes, you consented to going all the way through to having sex, but during the sexual activity ulikuwa umesema please do not come at me, then he does it. Na ulikuwa ushamwambia, that is still assault.
Yeah, that is still assault
because I did not consent to that.
And also these stories of maybe you've consented to protected sex. You've clearly told someone that we need to use a condom. Then maybe they lie to you that they've put it on, kitu kama hiyo. That is still assaulting someone. Because what they consented to, yes, they consented to sex, but protected sex, that is what they consented to. And also in that case, vile umesema, when you tell someone not to release their children into you, yes, and then they go ahead and do it, that's also assault, because someone consented to sex where you do not release in them.
Yes. And it's really sad because you are an adult. Kwani ni kitu ngumu ya kusikiliza kile uliambiwa. Alafu pia at the end of the day unajua most of us take sexual assault imerelatiwa na the females do. Sadly, sisi ndo most of the time tunakuanga the victims, but add to the men, they're sexually assaulted without them knowing. Like maybe you are drunk, mlikuwa mmeenda somewhere, you're with the girlfriends hivyo, maybe you are girlfriends hivyo, you go back home, then you're like, mate, I do not feel like doing this right now, juu uko high hivyo. Then she just maybe, blows the whistle. The activity takes place. Hapo pia my boys pia wanakwanga wamefanyanga ka something.
That is assault. And I feel like to some extent people just know when they've been assaulted, because you clearly know that you did not want to do this. You didn't want to do it, but at the end of the day you still did it. So consent, also victim blaming and stuff like that are also things that made people are some of the things that made consent blurry. Because consent actually is a very simple concept of just someone telling you their boundaries, someone communicating to you
Yes.
and telling you what they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
So when you so when you do something that someone has clearly told you not to do,
Yes.
that is assaulting that person.
Yes.
But then you find that when I come and tell you, for example, hey Lali, by the way, there's this guy I met at a party.
Yes.
We did this and this, but I told him not to do this,
Yeah.
but he did this. But then there was something that he did that I feel like I wasn't really comfortable with, and I feel like I expressed it.
Yes.
But then you'll just be like, but see, you could have just told him to stop, ungemwambia wache, nini. But just like we've said, it's not that easy to express consent verbally. So
Yes.
hizo non-verbal cues pia, they matter. So you find that mostly people, when someone tells you that they didn't express it verbally, or sometimes even people who've expressed it verbally,
Yes.
are still shamed. They're still told, why did you take yourself there? Why
Yes.
did you do this and this? Yeah, you find that the victims are the ones who are getting blamed. Maybe you find someone anaambiwa, because you are wearing this, because you are acting some type of way,
Yeah.
that's why this happened to you. But it's not the victim's fault in any way.
Yes, and it is really sad that in this day and age, people are still shamed for what happened to them, and it was not their fault. Especially, I dressed some type of way, now you think it was a yes for you to have sex with me, to touch me, or do something to me. Like, you're in the club, you do not expect me to be in the club in a dera.
True, and also that excuse of sijui I dressed a certain type of way, that never really makes sense, because what about all those other men who didn't assault me? It's not about
Exactly.
what I'm wearing, it's about you. You're the person, you're a rapist. Because so many other men saw the same girl in the
Yes.
same outfit, but they didn't assault her.
You're the only one who chose to do
simply
that.
because they're not rapists.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's never about the victim. It's never anything that the victim does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't even blame a clothing. Ulisag, did they come and touch, your ass or
I know.
any body part of yours? It's just you. It's wewe tu na nature yako tu, and your lust ndio ili lead to that.
True.
Ata on the same point, the victims, when maybe you were touched like on the way home, on your way home, or maybe you went out with this guy, got to his place, or even didn't get to his place, but something sexual happened and you had not consented to it. Kuna wenye watakwambia vile umesema, like, why didn't you tell him? Maybe even if you did not show like non-verbal cues, there's the freeze response.
Yeah,
Because as a lady, you can, a man and a lady physically, hakuna vile wanaweza pigana, like, so kuna hiyo freeze response ni ile, you're in that situation, maybe you're at his place, he had invited you over, then it's happening, you ulidhani like we are still getting to know each other, so I go to his place, maybe have lunch, watch a movie, then we talk about what we are becoming, then him make the advances. Kuna ile like you will freeze up, he's a new guy, you're at his place, labda unaweza amua kutoka mbio ndo sasa ushikwe vizuri. Sasa kuna ile, it's not your fault, ni body yako tu imeamua tu kufreeze tu in the moment.
Mind. It's actually something psychological that happens in the mind.
Yes.
Because we always talk about fight or flight response, but also the freeze response is also a thing.
Very
that's
true.
Psychological, that happens in the mind, and it's actually your body's last resort
Yes.
to try to get yourself out of this situation.
Yes.
Because the fact that you freeze, your body is incapable of doing anything.
Exactly.
So to someone who respects boundaries and to someone who understands what consent is, they'll definitely not continue when you freeze. Yeah, so that's also a response to sexual assault.
And it's really sad that they all rapists, let us call them as they are. Yes. All men that just sexually assault a lady, or the lady that sexually assaulted the man, they see all this happening. They see the non-verbal cues, they had them. Because when I freeze during a situation you're in, I'm very sure you can see it in my face, my body has tensed up. Kuna vile tu I will change. So niko sure pia wewe unafaa uangalie, like, tuna communicate. Si lazima nikwambie stop. Not everyone can do that, by the way. Not everyone is, okay, not loud, but
expressive.
Yes. Exactly. So on the same about what consent looks like, you should always be looking for an active yes. Na hiyo naona like it's supposed to be common sense. Just look for an active yes. Si ati juu I was nice to you, maybe we flirted here and there, it means that you can make sexual advances, ama you can touch me in such a way. Na, like, just look for an active yes in every person you are getting in bed with, ama you want to get in bed with.
And also for the same situation about now that enthusiastic consent, where you're looking for the presence of an active yes rather than a no. So this active yes does not necessarily have to be communicated verbally. You can see those cues like we were talking about, like someone maintaining eye contact, someone showing you, reciprocating your energy the same way, like you touch them, they touch you, they don't try to stop you. That is also an active way of someone telling you that I'm into whatever is happening. So those non-verbal cues alone also are not enough. They don't suffice. So you can ask someone, you can check in regularly when you're progressing, like we've said, asking, is this okay? Is this still okay? Like that, just to make sure that you're getting consent in every stage and in every activity.
That is very true. Because there are times where maybe you had started kissing, then you go touch her boob, anze kupull away, but you're still kissing. I think hiyo tayari unafaa uangalie like, okay, she does not want to go to this next level. So it is just checking every time. Because Leza, can I do this? Do you like it when I touch you here?
Because yes, maybe she or he still wants to have sex, but then just not comfortable with you maybe touching their boob. So when you ask, is this still okay? They'll just be like, I prefer you not to touch me there, but you can still continue. Or someone might also tell you, I'm open to trying. That's also another form of someone consenting. When you maybe want to try something new and someone tells you, I'm open to trying, that's also considered consent.
And asking for consent kind of looks cute. Like, can I?
I know. Yes, someone actually cares. They're not just there to, you know, do their thing.
Bana. Wamekuja tu chapa ka tumeenda.
I know.
Yes. And on the same bado kwa active yes, kuna vile sasa yes amekupatia maybe the yes, ama amekuambia sasa hapa this is the limit. Kuna pia the physiological happenings zenye zinaendeleanga that does not mean that was an active yes, because the body will just react as the body is supposed to react. Maybe same example, you're in the club, you're grinding on a guy, then he erects. That doesn't mean like yes he's picking you up tuende mkaruke somewhere.
Sorry. So for physiological responses like that, things that your body just normally does, and it reacts like that to certain environment, to certain conditions, people actually use that excuse and be like, but you wanted it, you know you liked it, but these are physiological responses. Literally the mind communicates to the body and the body does what it's supposed to do. So that does not mean that someone has consented to something. It's just natural body processes.
And even though by then most of the people get assaulted, kwanza in these two house parties, vitu mingi zenye zinaendelea huko.
True.
Yes, the way the body reacted initially, like you should just ask, even kumeenda, so are we doing this? Are we not doing this?
That's true. Also, consent does not look like when someone is, someone has erected, but you can clearly see, you know, I feel like if you've had sex before, you just know like how someone acts, how consensual sex looks and feels, you know. So me, I feel like when people assault others, it's not that they don't know, they know what they're doing. So I feel like responses like that are just natural to you and how your body functions should not be used as excuses to make people feel like they wanted something to be done to them.
Yeah, it is just good to just wait for the yes. Akikwambia go ahead, wewe go ahead. Ulishaambiwa sasa do your thing. But ukiambiwa like, and it is really good to respect the no. Na inakuanga ngumu sana for the lady to say the no. During that process, yes, you are enjoying it, but kuna vile there's that fear that comes. Kwanza if it is a new person that hujui. True. Yes. Yeah, I think that is what consent looks like.
Yes.
And what consent does not look like. Kama ni minor, please. Kwanza unafanya nini na minor?
Minor, I know. Like, sick. Basically, people who just assault others are sick people. That's what I think. Yeah, because when you know someone is a minor, like why there's so many age appropriate people out here that you can have sex with. You can pay a prostitute to have sex with you. Stop.
Commercial sex worker.
Yeah. Prostitute, tomato.
Yes.
You can pay, you can find age appropriate people. You don't have to be assaulting minors.
Yes.
And also people who are under the influence of drugs.
Kwanza hiyo part, yeah. That is just taking advantage. Na hii ina happen very many times na watu, I think they just push whatever happened at the back of their minds because wanai suppress too, but at the end of the day tu kuna times something happens then you are triggered. Ndio unapata hata when it comes to relationships some things zinakwanga tu zimepop up, like you get with a guy, then when you start getting intimate unapata such happenings. Unajua kuna times mind inaamua let me do the thing in a click kwa zile za this thing happened. Una find that even in a relationship inakuja inaku affect, you can't get intimate ama it goes the other way. So you just sitaki kuita lose but you know because wacha nipatiane, it already happened. Yes.
Yeah, but I feel like bottom line, we should also just take care of ourselves because it's upon you to protect yourself. So that even when something happens to you, of course you're the victim, but also what role did you play? What did you do? Like when you live somewhere with a stranger.
Yes.
We've been taught since we were this big, we're not supposed to talk to strangers and things like that. Also, when you're going somewhere, just make sure that you have people who, you know,
can take care of you.
People who can take care of you.
Yes.
And also another bottom line is that people who do not understand consent and how it actually works should not be having sex. And watch this video, then know how consent works and how it operates. Then now you can be sexually active.
Yes, but I don't think there's anyone who does not know what consent is. You just choose to be a rapist.
That's true. Yeah, it's true. Actually, you should allow people. And I know people usually use this excuse of, but you wanted it, but nini. But just like we've said, someone can change their mind at any time. And that's what people really need to understand. I feel that is the part of consent that kidogo imechanga watu. Because in the beginning, when you say no, it might be easier for someone to pull away. But sasa in the middle of the action, it might be hard, but you need to understand that this is just how consent works. Someone can change their mind at any moment and you have to be respectful of them.
That is very true. Yeah, and I hope our viewers grasp everything tumesema. We really need to learn about consent. We really need to respect ourselves and respect others. Yes, tusikae ka society yenye tu. Well, it is really sad that na hata kama vile tunasema like kuna venye tumeongea on this topic and we were measuring on the females, but the men also go through this, but tunajua tu vile men wako they can't talk about it ama kwanza wao ndo wanajua kusuppress vizuri kwa zile ili happen si alinipatia tukapatiana. But I think tunafaa vile tunasema let's bond is a safe space. We should be a safe space to everyone around us, not as strangers. Yes. Thank you very much for taking your time to come. So let's
You're
bond.
Welcome.
I hope tumebond.
Tumebond. Here we've bonded.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this was a serious topic.
Very.
Yeah, and I've learned something pia hapa.
Yeah, definitely.
And to our viewers, I hope you've learned something. No means no. Na maybe see yes. Maybe bado ni no. Just look for the active yes, as we've said. Share our video, like it, comment, subscribe to our channel. Kwanza sharing part, please share the video. Ndo watu wa learn about consent, waseme hatukuwaambia. And mjue Let's Bond, it's not about vibes and inshallahs only. We also educate each other every day. Yes, thank you very much for taking your time to view our video. Subscribe, like, share. I will keep on repeating it. Subscribe, like, and share to Let's Bond. Thank you for taking your time. Until next time, bye.